Thank you for joining us on another sweet and sassy show. Jen Carpenter and Molly Lowe. Look at that. Today we are talking about fear in entrepreneurship. And as we always start to go over our thoughts before this, we're really excited on the direction that this will go today. So thank you for joining us. Molly, do you want to do a brief introduction?
Yes. Hello, everybody. My name is Molly Lowe, LinkedIn business coach. So if you're looking to optimize, to monetize your LinkedIn presence, you already know that's me. Hello. I do everything lead generation, attraction marketing, and experience-based sales.
Ooh, I like it. That was very specific today. I like it. Experience-based sales. What other kind of sales would you want?
Yeah,
I
right?
love it.
Amen to that.
I love it. I'm Jen Carpenter, Secure and Savvy Solutions. I work with business owners, entrepreneurs, helping empower their business with having support for legal resources in place so people can step into entrepreneurship and live their life more on their terms so they don't have to focus their time and energy on things they don't want to deal with. I also empower their employees by having services in place to help them deal with everyday life challenges and be well prepared for the unexpected things that people don't think will happen to them in life. And I really, really enjoy most helping people work with what is between the ears and help them develop a more powerful conscious mind and stop paying attention to the negative bullcrap in our subconscious mind, which leads us to where we're going today. Fear in entrepreneurship. You can have fear of many different things. You could have fear and doubt and worry about things that you don't need to worry about. I'll start with what we started talking about is I mentioned, the fear of failure, and Molly pointed out that people sometimes have more of a fear of their success, actually. And so this really, really rings true with me as well. As you start to grow and get more serious, you're thinking, you're believing, you're knowing that you're worthy and you're destined for greatness. And then when you really start to grow and get serious and be like, oh my gosh, this is actually happening, it can be scary to see what you're really taking on. So um, I think that the fear of the success, for me and other people too, just comes from the capacity of you're capable of doing what you want to do. You probably have a plan in place. It's just really being able to manage this as it comes up in those moment to moment situations. So you speak often of learn by doing, being able to stop, acknowledge what's going on in the problem, being able to reframe your thought in the situation, being able to tell yourself, is this true? What is real? Is what I'm thinking really actually true? Is this fear a valid fear? Usually it's not. It's a lie that our brain believes. And then being able to reframe it into a more positive situation, have gratitude for the lesson that you're learning in whatever, the failure or the fear is that you're having. So having a step-by-step process to go through in your head when these fears, come into place is what's most helpful for me and also what I teach. So where do you want to go with this success, fear of success? Tell us more about your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, for me, I resonate with fear of success more. That doesn't mean that I don't experience fear of failure, but I think as you continue to be an entrepreneur, I've been doing my business for 6 years, okay? So I've become more open to taking more risks, right? And it doesn't even have to be, I mean, this is probably, uh, it may have been frowned upon, but I don't really take air quote calculated risks. I really listen to my intuition more than anything. And I know that there's a component of failure every time I take a risk. So the longer I'm in business, the more risks I'm taking. So it's like fear of failure comes with risk taking, right? So I'm not as afraid. There's some times where I am, but the fear of success is so daunting to me, right? Like, okay, so I want so much to be $1 million business, which is fabulous, but oh no, like what if this happens overnight? Because it could very well happen overnight. Am I ready for it? Do I have the systems in place? Do I have the teams in place? How do I go about managing my time? And I think the reality of my fear of success is tied to, can I still be authentically me as I continue to experience illogical success, right? Like disgustingly gross success in the good way. I say that intentionally, right? Am I going to change? Is success going to change me? Am I going to be able to maintain my values and my belief systems and showing up as Molly that everyone knows me of? That's where that fear of success comes from, right? Um, but to your point, I really believe that even whether you're talking about fear of failure or failure of success, the only way to overcome fear in general is to just go through it. It is to acknowledge it. Fear is actually not bad. I'm going to quote two of my coaches, one of which, Coach David Nagel, he even says, like, fear is actually good for you. Because if there's a big grizzly bear chasing after you, you want to run, you want to book it, okay? Save your life, right? And then my coach, Alex Persglove, always says, you don't have to believe everything you think, like that your brain tells you. um Fear is misuse of your imagination.
I like that. I like that. Um, I just thought through the whole time you're talking too, what is the process? What do we do when this happens? You have to think about, for one, I like to say, don't ask yourself why, ask yourself how, or what's in the way, what's in the way of this progress. And when you really sit and look at it, for example, this came up earlier and it's, an example I had planned on talking about. For quite some time, I didn't do video. What's in the way? Well, I'm not usually dressed or ready to do video, to record. Or someone pointed out to me, duh, you don't have to be in the video. You can make a video and just have your voice. Like, okay, you're not doing something because of what? Sometimes I don't want to get on the phone and make 5 phone calls in a row for whatever the reason might be. Is it fear of rejection? Is it fear of failure? Um, what's really standing in the way, whatever it might be. And then ask yourself, how can I overcome it instead? Why am I not doing this? But how can I overcome it instead? You can record a video just with your voice or record something in front of you. You don't have to be in the video. Or you say, okay, what's the solution? I'm going to make sure I'm dressed and ready. I'm going to batch 30 videos, over the weekend and put a system in place. So having these ways of reframing whatever's going on, what's really going on, set a realistic and specific goal. What are you going to do to change that? Okay, when I have a problem with my kids or I'm nervous about a business conversation, I'm going to make sure, I take a few deep breaths, write down what's important before I get on that call, make sure I'm in an emotional, non-emotional, that I'm in a rational state of mind so that I can be on my game. Like these are the physical steps I have to go through on a day-to-day basis when those fears creep in. Or you're doing stuff and you're getting sidetracked. Okay, I'm not being super focused right now. What's in the way? Am I distracted? Is there something else going on? Is there an emotional problem going on? Why am I not getting done what I'm planned on getting done right now, or whatever? What's in the way? And then going back to, you quoted a bunch of your mentors and coaches. Have support and get feedback. If you don't think you're doing a good job, or, just always ask for feedback anyways. Anything that I put out there, I am ready for constructive criticism. I am ready for, tell me what I'm doing wrong or what I could improve, I guess is a better way to say it. What areas can I improve? How can I make this situation better? And then doing all of that will continually strengthen your belief in what's possible, strengthen your positive thoughts about yourself and what you do when you remind yourself, okay, I can do this. I have the support I need. I'm making the changes I need. I'm doing all the things, so that when you get into that thought process of fear and avoidance, actually avoiding whatever it is that you are fearful of, that you've gotten support, feedback, you have a system in place, and you know how to get past it, because it can happen 5 times a day, it maybe happens once a day. Maybe it doesn't happen that often, but it's gonna happen at some point or another. You might be smooth sailing and doing great, business is going well, and then something little scary comes up and you kinda fall back a little bit. Okay, what's going on and how can I fix it? That's kind of, I'm such a logical person when it comes to that. Like, I have to have those structural specific things in place. So what the heck do you do when your brain goes in that direction? So
Yeah, and I love that. I think a lot of people crave that structure on right, and that's the reason why, to be honest, that's the reason why coaching works. Is when you work with a coach, we show you how. A lot of people are like, okay, but how? Like, teach me the steps.
yeah,
And yes, the more that you can talk about, okay, first you got to do this, and everyone has a different way. So, like what I say to my clients all the time is my method on lead generation. I'm going to teach you exactly how I do it, and the goal is for you to adapt it, for you to test it out and see what works. And so fear is the same way, working with a coach. And I almost I attribute to this analogy: you are less scared, you're stronger in numbers, right? So that's why they say, oh, if you're traveling, right, and find a group to go with. It's air quote safer that way, right? Your community, the people that you surround yourself with. Because guess what? Fear will be here for you. Fear evolves and it
yes,
comes to you, right?
yes,
Yeah, depending on where you are in your business, it's not like it's okay, I've conquered fear and now it's never gonna go. No. Fear actually comes up every time you're ready to level up. It's
yeah,
to your point, right? It's like, okay, so what is the fear telling you? What is it pointing out for you internally that is trying to show you something? So it's not meant necessarily to harm you. It's literally just a signal that's helping you to realize, okay, pause. I'm scared. There's fear here. And that's okay. Don't make it wrong. Don't shame it. Don't guilt trip it. It's here. It's normal. And I don't have to believe everything my brain tells me. What is it trying to tell me? Right? What is it trying to point to me? And three, take the action to level up, because that's where discomfort is where growth and success lies.
yes. And I like that you got back to how you said that when we originally talked, the fears don't go away, they just change and shift. They're going to continue to come up. And the next part I was going to talk about is taking action and experiment. When things don't go well, that's why you celebrate your wins and you look back each week. You could daily, I always say daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly, you're always going to look back, what's going well, where can I change it? And in those situations, you take action. Did I get the result that I expected or I wanted? And if not, then you change it. You have to do something different. You just keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same repeated results, and they're not, you know, getting you what you want. Um, Failure is an illusion. Like you said, our brain believes what we tell it. If we tell it we're going to be successful and, step away from that fear, then that's what we're going to do. Um, this is all going exactly where I planned on talking too. So yeah, the biggest successes come after so-called failures. I can't even, there's so many stories I've heard. I probably should have picked one out for this, but you know, I think people talk about KFC, the Colonel. He wasn't successful until he was in his 50s or whatever that was, the recipe that he started with. So the biggest successes come from learning from your failures and deciding to shift and change and do something different so you can level up, step into your power, and be a better version of yourself. That's actually one of the biggest things I love about entrepreneurship altogether is I realized in my life that I wasn't learning, growing as much as I wanted to. And that was something that was like, oh yeah, personal development and growth is a constant in business and entrepreneurship. And so you can make it fun. It can be fun. You can learn from your screw ups. There's another guy in our network, if you will. He had a show called a series of F ups or whatever it was called. But I mean, that's all the business owners did was talk about their F ups and share it with people because that's how everyone learns is through their screw ups, their failures, and that's where the greatest other side of success is on the other side of stepping into your fears, doing what you're avoiding. It's funny that like even though this is specifically about fear today, so many of the other things we've talked about on other episodes all tie into this, you know, stepping
Yes.
into your power and thinking differently. And entrepreneurship is not for the weak. I say that quite often.
Absolutely, absolutely. I just went on LinkedIn Live today to talk about resilience and
Yep,
grit
yep.
because it really is. I know it sounds so crazy, but it's actually pretty simple. Anybody can start a business. Anybody can be an entrepreneur. But actually going through the fear of failure, the fear of success, fear of being seen, all of the fears. I mean, you plug and play. Fear of blank, right? Put that in there. It's the ability to commit every day, the ability for you to show up and say, I have the resilience today. I have the grit. I'm not going to quit. This little hiccup, okay, is not going to stop me. And quite frankly, I think one of the for me, one of the biggest shifts when I as I continue to build my business is I've learned to embrace that guess what? Some of the mistakes that I make is going to be expensive mistakes, and that's a part it's part of the game. But if you're and that's my way of challenging my fear of success. It's like, okay, if you're going to be willing to invest, you're ready to be risky, Molly, let's go. And guess what? When you do that, it's when your fears, and then like, you go through it and you're like, oh my gosh, it wasn't that bad at all. Like, why was I so scared of that? It really wasn't as scary as it was. And then a new fear will pop up when you level
Yes.
up.
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to go back briefly to what we think is what we get. So talking about trusting your intuition earlier, and also I think of self-fulfilling prophecies. If you think of something negative, my example is I would think all the time my kid's going to fall, hit their head. I think about it and they do. Like what you see is what you get. Whatever you look for is what you're going to get. Whatever you search on Google is what you're going to find. Trusting your intuition in decision making is a really, really helpful step. You can listen to other people's advice and do what you want with it. But really, like any important decision, there's so many tools and strategies out there. You can weigh your pros and cons. That's a way to, look at decision making. But even if after you've weighed your pros and cons, whatever it may be that you're dealing with, trusting your gut and intuition is really, really powerful. That was a big game changer for me too, to really listen because your intuition is right 100% of the time. And you could look back at A, B, and C and look at, okay, this was the outcome. Well, while you were going through it, did you have a hunch that that would be the outcome? Yes, you probably did. And if you just trust your intuition sooner, you would avoid all the messiness along the way because your intuition is right. So that's something I've had to find a lot of strength and power in over these past couple years. It's been super helpful.
Oh, I I want um to close on this note. That was so beautifully said, Jen. So
Thank you.
I always say to my clients, right, if you're afraid, if you're scared and it excites you,
Yes.
that's where you got to go. That
Uh-huh.
is the right direction, right? Because
Uh-huh.
again, you don't want to dismiss the fear. You don't want to be like, "Oh, go away, fear," because it's going to be there. That's how you know you're getting ready to grow and elevate, right?
Uh-huh.
And level up. But if you know you're scared, but you're like, "Oh, but it's so exciting, and if it goes well, I would be so excited, elated." That that coexistence of fear and
Yes.
excitement
Yes.
in the gut, literally in your gut and your intuition,
Hmm.
you are spot on.
Yep.
Follow that. I love
Run to it, run with it for sure. I like that. I actually think it's a great note to close out on. So, We hope that you've all enjoyed and taken plenty of notes and gotten some tidbits of value to help you along your way. You know, both of us really love working with entrepreneurs, business owners, and linking arms on the journey. That's what I think about whenever I talk about what I do. I do a bunch of different things, but that's really what it is our passion behind what we do to serve business owners, serve our clients, and um, be able to be on this journey together. You know, all the things that we do in our business should be fun. And well, maybe there's things that aren't fun, but like if you focus on the things you enjoy, the positive things, the fun things, stuff like this, being able to have these conversations, bringing value to people. And that's one of the most fun parts about all of this. So, super great to be here with Molly today. Please connect with both of us, Molly Lowe, Lotus Mentoring, Jen Carpenter, Secure and Savvy Solutions across all of our platforms, please. And stay tuned for our next episode at the end of April. Well, yes, the end of April. This will be the next episode coming out. But yeah, we release these episodes on my YouTube channel every month by the second Friday of each month. So stay tuned for our next one and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for your time.